Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez becomes a unified cruiserweight champ. WBA, which he held, and he's won Chris Billam-Smith's WBO title in just such a grueling, grinding fight. Where to begin with this one? I mean, first of all, let's talk about Zurdo. 47 wins now, 30 KOs, one defeat, which was Dimitri Bivol, down at light heavy, no shame in that. Taking on Chris Billam-Smith, who came in with 20 wins and one defeat, which he avenged against Richard Riakporhe in his previous fight. He got 13 KOs as well. The unbelievable durability and engine and chin of Chris Billam-Smith got him through what looked like hell against Ramirez. Chris is 34, Ramirez is 33. These are guys who, if you know, they're either in their prime, whatever, so slightly over it, maybe. Well, I would say that, I don't know, I was going to say maybe that's true of Billam-Smith. But Zurdo, at 33, seems to be getting better. And I can only put it down to the weight thing, because he managed to, hang in a physical sense with a much, much naturally bigger man. I mean, when Zurdo was down at 12 stone, holding the WBO super middleweight belt, Chris was a cruiserweight. He boils down, from a higher weight to the limit, whereas Zurdo, having come up from light heavy, he still looks the part at cruiserweight. I mean, he's physically strong. He's imposing. He's 6'2.5". Chris is 6'3". I mean, Ramirez deserves a ton of credit, because since this move to cruiserweight, despite his advance in years, he's in his early 30s now. He's looked great. He looked great against Guillermo, Joe Smith Jr. That was a pretty much one-sided fight. And now he's beaten Chris Billam-Smith. I mean, I think two of the guys had it 116, 112, one had it 116, 113. So three judges were. And I think that's fair. I thought the commentary was a little bit one-sided towards Zurdo. I thought Billam-Smith did win rounds, 3 or 4 rounds. But there's no doubt who won, and that was Zurdo. And he won because he was just landing many more punches, and he was landing an avalanche of flush punches. Zurdo came in. He fights. He's got that sort of cultured caveman thing going on, where he fights. He's quite happy to stand in the pocket, but he makes himself quite small. He almost shells up with a high guard, gets in there, and it's almost all hooks. And his body work throughout the whole fight was exemplary for Ramirez. Unbelievably, Billam-Smith soaked it up. And Zurdo wasn't ignoring the head, far from it. There were some great hooks to the body, but he was bringing it up to the head, landing flush. In the fourth round, I think, there seemed to be a clash of heads, although I have to say this, I'd like to look back at that. I'm doing this review just 5-10 minutes after I watched the fight, because I did notice that Billam-Smith's, the damage, that there was a swelling under his eye, and the referee, when it split, the referee said it's a headbutt, but there were some punches that were landed. I thought it was from a punch. The referee said it was from a headbutt, an accidental headbutt. I'd like to look at that again. But either way, Billam-Smith had a slice across his eyelid and damage to the other eye. There were swellings and sort of welts all over his eyes and across his cheeks. Zurdo didn't have much. He didn't look. There's no injury there. By the end of the fight, Billam-Smith, was looking like his face was, chopped meat, and he was blood coming out of his mouth as well, nose. But he just wasn't going anywhere. And in 5-6 rounds into the fight, by the way, I had money on this being a late stoppage for Zurdo, and I thought, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. I'm going to be collecting my money, collecting some winnings. It was only the incredible durability of Chris Billam-Smith that got him through it. But whereas Zurdo, like I say, made himself smaller and sort of shelled up and comes up with the hooks, Chris was the opposite. Chris was more or less bolt upright, landing his own punches. Don't get me wrong. He had some very nice uppercuts from Billam-Smith as well, and a few decent body punches as well. He didn't do enough body work though, Billam-Smith. Zurdo did. And I thought Billam-Smith was going to go. I thought he was going to get ground down. especially the body work. How he soaked up those hooks to the body, I do not know. But when Zurdo was coming in, was on the line, shelled up. Yes, he soaked up a few uppercuts. But when he fired his hooks, he was firing mostly wide punches. I was surprised that Billam-Smith didn't fire straight ones down the middle, sort of punch with him, but fire the straight shots. Shane McGuigan said, look, you've got to push him back. He can't fight on the back foot. And I think that's accurate. I think we knew that about Zurdo anyway. If you can get him pushed back, if you can get him, just on the back foot, okay, he moves. He's actually got pretty good feet, but he doesn't really like boxing on the back foot. When he's up close, no problem. Because when Billam-Smith was letting his hands go, Zurdo was sort of doing little semicircles just to offset Billam-Smith, just to keep him honest, stop him from getting any real power in his punches, and making him move to positions he didn't want to move. It's very impressive from Ramirez up close. His footwork's quite underrated up close. Whereas Billam-Smith he's got skills. I mean, when I made my prediction, I said that Billam-Smith had good skills, and a lot of people were saying, I think you're underrating Zurdo. And I said, well, I think you're underrating Billam-Smith. I think he does have very good skills. And he's also got Shane McGuigan in his corner, who's a very, very good tactician. Someone who can dissect an opponent's style, see things sort of on the hop, and relay them to his fighters. It was clearly a win for Zurdo, clearly a win. But at the same time, because this fight was so grueling, so tough, and very entertaining, I do feel that Billam-Smith, even though he lost his belt, his stock will rise. This was in Riyadh. Internationally, he's shown what he's made of. He's shown it to the Latin community who were there. They had a fantastic mariachi band before the fight. This was a Latino night in Riyadh. I think a lot of those big Mexican fans, they know they're boxing, the Mexican fans. I think they will look at Chris Billam-Smith and say, what a tough man. That was a worthy champion who fought our guy. But Zurdo, like I say, he's getting better. It's quite extraordinary, really, that someone of 33 who started off as a super middleweight can get better, But sometimes, this is what I was saying about other fighters. Like Jose Ramirez, for example, who lost to Arnold Barboza Jr. Should he really be at 140? Josh Taylor was another one. Should he be at 140? Sometimes you can stay at a weight for too long and you just drain yourself, and it shortens your career, because every time you do a training camp, and a lot of it's just making weight, and you're just not eating, that's obviously not healthy. You've got to put fuel in your body. Ramirez seems to have come into his own as a cruiserweight, even though he doesn't look cut. I mean, there's still, he's not fat in any way, but there's a little softness around the middle. Doesn't matter. You've got to know your body. You've got to know what you're doing with it. I think Ramirez has slipped into that mode where he's comfortable now at the weight, and he likes the bigger guys. He likes the bigger targets. So all credit to Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez, terrific fighter. Love watching him. Chris Billam-Smith, if he wants to, he can come again. I mean, he's like I say, his stock has risen. He's a former champ now, but if you absolutely have to lose your belt, this is the way to do it. To leave absolutely everything in the ring. When he wakes up tomorrow, he's going to think, God, I'm fucked. But at the same time, he's going to think, I kind of did everything I could do. Yeah, you can always dissect it and say I should have done this, that, and the other, but come on, man. I mean, Chris Billam-Smith is a warrior, an absolute warrior, as is Zurdo. Two men who are a credit to themselves, their families, and the sport, no doubt about it. So, yeah, let me know what you think about this fight. Did you find it as entertaining as I did? What do you think of both fighters? Just let me know. Let me know your comments. I'll give them a read. Thanks, as always, for watching. If you did like the video, please hit the like button. And also, if you're new to the channel, you might want to subscribe. It takes a second, cost you nothing, helping the channel out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, not a bad weekend's boxing, this, isn't it? But, yeah, looking forward to reading your comments. Until then, bye for now.